Thank you very much. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much. It is a great honor that I was invited to speak at your graduation. And first of all, I just want to congratulate all of you for reaching this important step in your life and in your careers. And I know that it has been a sacrifice on your part, many of you, and of course a sacrifice for your families out there that have been your support system to get you to this place right now. And I just want to say that you, all of you graduates, I know you are a gift to your parents, but I want to say because of this school that you're graduating from, you are also going to be a gift to your communities and to the world. So, felicitaciones. Thank you. Thank you very much. As you go out there into this world that we are facing right now, I know it's a very difficult world. It's a world that we have in turmoil. There are many, many things that are happening in our society that makes us wonder, what is this world that we're going into going to look like? We know that there are so many things that we in the United States should have and we do not have. When we look at other developed countries in the world, what do we have that we don't have? They have health care for everyone that we don't have. They have free education for everyone that we don't have. We were just talking about Cuba. Why is it that a little country like Cuba can have free education for every one of their citizens, free health care for every one of their citizens, even though it's this tiny country, an undeveloped country that has an economic boycott, but somehow they can manage to take care of their citizens and we do not? Why is it that that's right, you have a way to go there. Why is it that we do not have early childhood education for all of our children? I know many of you that are mothers that are here, and we're celebrating Mother's Day, that so many families have to spend so much money to find someone to care for their children. And we're not just talking about caring for our children, we're talking about having them educated. And at the same time, early childhood education, and that should be a national issue for all of us, that we should all be able to have that in our country. Why is it that we do not have bilingual education in our schools? This is the only country that is so xenophobic that we do not have enough other languages in our schools. And yes, we did have bilingual education at one time, but that was taken away from us. And so many of our young immigrants from other countries that have come here have had to suffer to try to get through school without knowing when they're in those classes what it is that are being taught. And then our teachers are punished for this because they are graded in terms of how the children are learning. So we know, again, another big issue, and when I'm saying these things to you, these are things that we just have to think about. I know that many of these things that I'm talking about, at this point, we may not ever be able to change them, but we have to kind of put them on our bucket list and say, I'm going to think about these things and think in the future how we can change this, right? You know, one of the other things, of course, we know that we have such a huge prison population. And why is that? Why is it that we in the United States have more people in prison than they have in India or China, when those populations have billions of people and we only have millions? So that means that our laws have to change, and we are on that way when we just recently passed Proposition 47 that reduced felonies to misdemeanors and was able to get a lot of people out of prison, right? Out of jail. Yes, we need that. And on the ballot in November, there will be another initiative that we can vote on, if we can get enough signatures to put it on the ballot, that for children who are juvenile offenders, when they are in detention, that they can get credit for good behavior. And yes, let's appropriate some money so that they can be rehabilitated and given a second chance when they get out of prison. And when we think of the things that we need in our country, like smaller classes for our smaller classes for in our public education system, and we say, hey, they always say that there's not enough money to pay for all of this. Well, one of the reasons why is because guess what? We do not own our natural resources. We are the only country in the world that does not own our oil. We do not own our gas. We do not own our public utilities. Why is that? And we know that there are countries out there like Norway, this little country of Norway, that had a $400 billion surplus in their country because they own their own oil. Now that to us is unthinkable, that somehow we should someday own our natural resources like they do in Europe and like some countries in Latin America. How does that happen? Well, we know a lot of what I'm talking about. Oh, let me just mention one more thing. In November, in the elections in November, there will be something else on the ballot, and that will be to continue taxing our millionaires. Isn't that a good idea? So, in 2012, we in California, we voted on a proposition called Proposition 30 that said, hey, if you make $1 million, you have to pay 3% more in state taxes. If you make $500,000, you have to pay 2% more. If you make $250,000, you have to pay 1% more. As a result of that proposition passing, and many of you here voted for it, most of you voted for it, we had almost $8 billion that came into our state funds in California, and that money went primarily for education, right? Education. So, to extend that law in November, that will be on the ballot, okay? So we have to make sure that all of us are aware and that we get out there and we vote for it to make sure that it happens. We know that we have to end the school-to-prison pipeline. We have so many things that need fixing in our society, but I want to just say that, yes, you, especially those of you that are graduating from this school, that are not only educated, as we say in Spanish, educados, no? Because in the Spanish language, cuando uno está educado, when you are educated, you are compassionate, you are civil, you care about others, and you commit your life to one of service. That is what an education is coming out of this particular college. Because we know that if we have an education, or as they say in Spanish, preparados, right? That we are prepared, because again, people that don't go to college can be educados, can be educated. But in order to have a career, you need to be preparado or prepared, which is what you are here. But you are here, you are all very prepared. But again, if we have knowledge and we don't act on the knowledge that we have, then things don't change. So one of the main things that I want to leave you with is that we have to become involved. And I know that's difficult to say because you're going to have families and you have a career and you're going to have to find work. But at the same time, if we do not get involved in our communities, if we do not get involved in the electoral process, then nothing ever changes. And we can see with what's happening right now, with all of the attacks that we have on our communities of color, and we say, how can this happen? How can we, in a civilized society, have people, Republican candidates that are running for office that have to say such terrible things about immigrants? Well, one of the things that we have to do, and I want to really implore you, some of you I know are going to be teachers, and what you can teach, you have sometimes a lot of leeway and sometimes you don't. So I want all of us to think about running also for office, for school board members, so that we can get ethnic studies. You know, it's starting with kindergarten. We shouldn't have to wait to go to college to find out what the contributions are of people of color to the United States of America. So we need, in order to erase and in order to get rid of this terrible cancer of racism that we have in our society, we have to start when our children are very young. Children of color need to know what the contributions of their people have been. How many schools do we have in our country that teach that the White House and the Congress were built by African slaves? That is not taught. Well, how many schools teach that the people from Mexico that came here after this was all taken from Mexico, if they wonder, hey, why should we teach Spanish? Because this was once Mexico, everybody, all right? ¿Por qué debemos de enseñar el idioma español? Porque esta era parte de México y eso no lo enseñan. And people need to know this. Yes, the people of Mexico came and they farmed the fields and they built the railroads and they did the construction, as did people from other countries too. People from Asia, the Japanese, the Chinese, the Filipinos. They were prevented often from getting married because they were afraid that they would marry Caucasian to take away the land that they had actually developed and built. The people from Europe also, the immigrants, the Italians, you know, all the rest of the people that have come here. So this country was brown before the Europeans got here, okay? Este país ya era color café antes que llegaron los europeos, okay? So, and we have to say to them when they tell us, you know, hey, go back to where you came from. And for the Latino community, we have to say to them, you know what? We didn't cross the border crossed us, right? We didn't cross the border crossed us. So somehow we have to remind people and we have to teach them, we have to educate them so we could end the xenophobia that is so harmful and destructive and that is hurting so many lives. And I want to share a word with you. And I was glad that you said earlier that we were one human race, okay? We are one human race. But where did our human race begin? Somebody out there shout it. Where did our human race begin? Africa. Africa. And the scientific name of our human race is Homo sapiens. We are one human race. Yes, our human race began in Africa, went across the planet, it went to Asia, came down through the Bering Strait to the Americas. And we got a little bit lighter in skin, okay? And we had one of our tribes that went way up north to Europe. It's very cold out there. They lost their color, okay? They lost their color. So now they have to go to the tanning salon or to the beach to get their color back. So we can say to those members of the Ku Klux Klan, those members of they know who they are, Tea Party people, okay? The White Citizens Council, all those people who are supporting Republican candidates that are attacking people of color, get over it, you're Africans. So, I want to share a word with you. It's an African word, it's a Zulu word, and it means we are coming together to fight for justice. We are coming together to fight for justice. The word is wozani. Can you say that word? So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, and I want us all to shout the word wozani together. Let's go. 1, 2, 3. Wozani. And yes, justice. This is what this is all about. And when you go out into the world, remember the legacy that you're going to leave, that you got from this school here, from this university here, is one of justice. Because this is what you want to leave behind, a legacy of justice. Don't think about leaving money or property or jewels, because your kids are just going to fight over it, okay? Then they're going to hate each other, okay? So, following the legacy of Cesar Chavez, of Dr. King, of Malcolm X, yes, the Dalai Lama, Gandhi, all of these great people, Dorothy Day, a legacy of justice, because we know we are put on this world for one thing and one thing only, to make the world a better place. And with the learning, the acknowledgments, and everything that you have learned here, the education that you have, you, as I said before, are going to be a gift to the society, to take these gifts and make the world a better place. And it won't be easy. You will get criticized. You will get ridiculed. People will say, hey, you've got a college degree. You should go out there and make some money. But remember this, even if you're a millionaire, you can only eat 3 meals a day. You can only wear 1 suit of clothes a day, right? And the legacy that you are going to be leaving your children is the good works that will help the people that are most in need. And please, for this next election, so that we can stop the haters, okay? We got to stop the haters. I'm going to beg you, please, go out there, put on your tennis shoes, come and canvass, go door to door, work for candidates that are going to help us. And I do have to say this. The Coretta Scott King said, we will never have peace until we get a woman as president of the United States of America. So I'm going to ask you a question then, and please commit to me that you're going to go out there and you're going to work, you're going to go door to door, you can do phone banking, because you, the graduates here, there's 400 plus of you here, 400, each one of you goes out there and helps get people out to vote. We can actually get 4,000 or more people out to vote that may not have voted. And if we do not vote, then the haters will win. Because the strongest weapon that we have of nonviolence is our vote. And if we give that up, the other side wins. And we have to work for public campaign financing so we can elect good candidates that will work for the things that we need. So that our teachers, that are going to be teachers out there, so that you can have a decent salary, right? So that you can get paid more than a person who's a prison guard. And all of the rest of you, the services that you're going to give, with your family counseling, with your human development services, that you will get paid what you deserve to make this country better, because you are the ones that are going to be able to do it. So I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to answer the question. I'm going to ask you, who's got the power? And I want you to say, we've got the power. And when I say, what kind of power? I want you to say, people power. But I want you to shout it very, very loud. All right? Let's go. Who's got the power? We got the power. What kind of power? People power. I'm going to ask the question again, but then I want you to answer me by saying, when I say what kind of power, I want you to say voting power, right? Voting power. Who's got the power? We got the power. Uh-oh, some people aren't sure. Some people aren't sure. And remember that the power is in our person, but we can't do it by ourselves. We've got to work with others. We've got to work together. We've got to take direct nonviolent action in order to bring the things that we need to our society, all right? Okay, and to our communities. Don't forget it's voting power. But let's do it really loud. Who's got the power? What kind of power? Now I'm going to say it in Spanish because I know we have families here that speak Spanish, and I want them also to engage. Quiero decir una palabra nomás en español, que todos juntos, si trabajamos juntos, nosotros podemos ganar a aquellas personas que están en contra de nosotros, personas que nos insultan, que nos pintan como criminales y no como residentes y personas que nosotros contribuimos a nuestra comunidad. So, la pregunta que estoy haciendo, ¿quién tiene el poder? Nosotros tenemos el poder porque podemos elegir a personas que nos van a ayudar y que no van a ir en contra de nosotros. So, voy a hacer la pregunta en español, voy a decir quién tiene el poder y quiero que griten, nosotros tenemos el poder. Y cuando grito, ¿qué clase de poder? Quiero que digan ustedes el poder del voto. Y aquellos que no pueden votar todavía porque no son ciudadanos, pueden ayudar, tocar puertas, armar teléfonos, llamarle a la gente, repartir información para que vote toda la gente, para que podamos ganar en contra de estas personas con su retórica odiosa que tienen en contra de nosotros. Así es que les voy a preguntar, ¿quién tiene el poder? Quiero que digan en español, nosotros tenemos el poder. Y cuando digo qué clase de poder, que digan el poder del voto. ¿Está bien? Ok, let's go. ¿Quién tiene el poder? ¿Qué clase de poder? Okay, so can we go out there? ¿Podemos nosotros? Can we go out there? Can we work very hard to make sure that we keep our democracy safe, to make sure that working people are respected, to make sure that our people of color are respected? What do we say? ¿Se puede o no se puede? And that, we know, says, yes, we can. Okay, so let's all do it together. I'll say that one more time, and let's do it with an organized hand clap. Okay, let's go. Sí se puede, let's go. Sí. Sí se puede. Muchas gracias. Go out and save the world. Gracias. Thank you very much.